weeks and some of people's minds and others, it's been a very terrible week. But that doesn't stop us from coming together today on Saturday to discuss and break down things that happened within the week. Of course, we focus on Uganda, and that's why the show is called Uganda at Crossroads. So you joining us every day, it makes a difference. And we thank you so much for always sharing our programs. Now, remember what happened last week? People lost lives. The allegations that, of course, police was responsible for the death of the young girl and the gentleman. But others from the government say, no, this wasn't true. Maybe the girl or the man were responsible for their death. So these are the stories that really developed this past week, but nobody was happy about what happened, apart from those who gained out of it. So tonight, I'm in the studio with two gentlemen and one lady. Of course, you know, Sarah J. Wakanasazora is with us, Richard Myombia, and Jumba Edward. He's also part of us. He's a political analyst, a very strong gentleman who knows politics more than many people. So I want to thank you again, guys, for always watching Uganda at Crossroads. My name again, I don't know why I like to talk about my name, but it's David Devora. Let me go and meet these guys and we'll discuss a couple of things. Guys, first of all, I want to thank you for joining me today. It has been a very terrible week for many people. It has been a very nice week for others, and it has been kind of just a 50-50 week for me. So I should say I watched the news, people, too, the lady who died in Uganda and the gentleman who was killed, of course, day after. It's not the best story to start with, but that's what we're going to do tonight. So let me start with Richard. Richard, was your week interesting? I always start with that.
My week was so bad. As someone fighting for freedom, it gave me courage to act more and to see that we push this government out of power so that we are free. For example, we had this Rita Nabukenya, and we belong to the same clan, was killed. We had this young boy that was killed in Nasana, Chene. Then we had some interesting thing. We saw Tumukunde joining the political race. And then we saw the NRM on the weekend, maybe Friday or Thursday, in their meeting to see what they are going to do after they are defeated in power. Because some of them are saying, no, we can't give out power. So it's very interesting that because on the first week, of the beginning of the week, I was so sad, but at the end of the week, I saw a very powerful dog that was always barking to see that now it's coming down. All right, thank you,
Jumba. Before I bring in the lady, Jumba, did you have a very interesting week or a 50-50 week? Well, before you come in, I happen to be an investor in the stock market, so to me, this has been the worst week ever. So, but how was your week?
My week was a little troubling, not on a personal level, but because of the events that are happening in the world. By the way, good evening, viewers, and good afternoon, viewers in the US. The week was a little challenging, but also at the same time, it gives us some hope. It sounds a little an oxymoron that in spite of the death and all the things that are happening, I can say that it gives us some hope. Because when you know the problems and the challenges ahead of you, then definitely you work out solutions.
All right.
So we know what we are facing as a nation and as a world.
Sure. Sarah, you commented so much about the lady who died, and I think you were so much affected. You being a very strong people power supporter, and you're one of your key members lost her life. It created a very huge story on your side. How was your week?
It was sad having two young people who have dreams. You saw Rita's kids who want to say better Uganda. They've not had a chance because all these people were born in the regime of President Museveni. They've not seen any other leader. So all their misery have been in this one regime. So it is so sad seeing young people who really love change and activists dying before they see the new government, because all their works and fights have been to see a better Uganda, a new Uganda with another leader. Because that's what most of us are fighting for, especially if you've not had a chance to see any other president. You want to see another president and how they perform, so that you can be able to compare and contrast and say, you know, most of us are blaming President Museveni because we have no one else to compare with. We've been in his regime, we've grown up in his regime. We cannot compare with people we've never seen. So it's been a sad week. And yeah, but we pray may the souls of the departed rest in eternal peace. And let's pray for their families as well. They stay strong. And anyone, wherever you are in your capacity, if in any way you can support and give, it could be either monetary or emotional support to the families of the deceased, please do, because you know, they never fell sick. This is someone stealing your loved ones, and they claim their lives.
All right, so Sarah, I want to thank you guys and for such a very interesting start of the show. We're going to discuss about a number of issues, from the girl who died and the gentleman who died, plus General Tumukunde's removal of guards and how the government is now responding to coronavirus, and a couple of other issues. But let's start straight away from the issue of Nabukenya and Daniel. Now, first of all, we all have to agree, and of course I don't know whether you agree with me or not, but there are chances that police did not kill the lady. So I want to start with Sarah yourself, because according to police, they say she involved into an accident, not by police, but between two border bikes.
Where is the other border bike? Because you see, the police is not being consistent with their story. They claim two bikes collided, and in a collision where there are two bikes, I believe both bikes got damaged to an extent. If two bikes collide to an extent, they kill someone, then two bikes would have been damaged in that instant. But it's so funny, the riders of these bikes don't have a scratch, because I had the interview from the rider who was carrying Nabukenya. He had no scratch. He was in fear because of what happened, but police could not produce the other bike. They do not know even who the person on the other bike, and they say the person disappeared and the bike disappeared. I think what has given away police, because every time such occurrences have happened, they've been able to come up, fabricate stories, change statements here and there. You've had them, even when, you know, the evidence is plain black and white with no shades of gray, they've come out and said, you remember when with the issue of Sweet Peps, they said the policemen who beat up him were Nigerians, those cases. So for the issue of Rita, then we gave the police the benefit of doubt. Okay, if you claim they were not knocked down by the police patrol car, Kampala, Uganda spent a lot of money, taxpayers' money, to buy cameras that were inserted all over Kampala. So we expected the footage to come out. And then the worst excuse from police, that the cameras in Nakawa were not functioning that particular day, all they are down. So basically, you know, it's a goose chase where it is really hard to really understand. You know, this is because one of the reasons why we spent a lot of money on these cameras was for such instances where we are saying, police, you killed our people, and police comes up and says, okay, this is the evidence, we didn't kill your people, this is the footage we have. There is no footage. Cameras were down. And the interview from the guy who was carrying Rita, his story and the people who were around, the story is the same. We've not had any contradicting story. The guy says he was hit from behind, and and this is not the first time. I remember when this incident happened, I think people have come up with all the video clips of police patrol cars running after people on motorcycles. You saw that, I think it was one of the highways where a police completely went. And there's another that happened in Kampala where a police was literally went from the road to start hitting someone who was standing by the side.
From that side, I want to bring in, Sarah, I want to bring in Jumbo. But Jumbo, before I bring in, there is a narrative which is, of course, also true, that in many cases, starting from the police letter, let me read what they say, the press release they made, the statement they made. They said, in the accident, motorcycle UAEY 675P was trying to overtake our patrol vehicle number, but unfortunately collided with another motorcycle whose registration was not captured immediately because of the because he fled the scene. Now, first of all, Jumba, I want to ask you this. You have over time seen border riders overtaking police patrols. Doesn't that give a confidence to the police department over what's happening in the country?
In the first place, the border has every right of way to overtake a police patrol. unless if it's going on an emergency trip. So there's nothing wrong with that. Cars overtake each other. That is out. Then, but let me first attack the statement made by the police. Any responsible, reasonable police force would first of all offer condolence to these families that have lost their loved one, irrespective of the political differences that we have with the people that died. Number two, the issue that involves the killing of these kids, the people power affiliate kids, can be traced on the history of political violence by NRA, NRM, and its police. The police today has been recruited by the party to become a partisan police. 2-3 days ago, I was listening to Muhammad in Seleko, and he was giving out numbers of people that have died every time we get close to an election. He went as far back as in 2001 and 1996. That is Muhammad in Seleko, and he was giving out these numbers of Ugandans that are being killed in election violence. Now this time, they are killing a generation of Ugandans who have been born, raised during this regime. These are young kids who are poor, most of them, hopeless, jobless, and who think that Uganda can be better than what they're seeing. Now these kids are dying. Now, before I proceed on this, I want you to look at President Yoweri Museveni when he is making fun of the death of Kauma. He's somewhere making fun about his soldiers who went and beat Bobby Wine a few slaps, and Bobby Wine went abroad and started talking bad about the Uganda and its image. That is Museveni. Now, he's forgetting that Yasin Kauma has been killed and assassinated by his protection force. That's the president. So when a president can behave like that, what do you expect from these boys who look up to him for guidance, the police officers?
The president maybe was speaking to his supporters, and
no,
they welcomed the idea of him celebrating such kind of day.
Any supporter who thinks that killing a Ugandan is good news, then we are in for really, really, really a bad future. Listen, when Nantaba, when his police officers who were guarding her killed Sebulime, they came up with excuses. But they took Sebulime off the car, put him down, he went a step back, he shoot him. Extrajudicial killing of Sebulime. Then he comes up and says, we had orders from above. Now that's a pattern that we are seeing. And that's the pattern that is happening today with the people power supporters. But I want to conclude with this on this. That what we are seeing today is a slow genocide committed by Museveni and his police against political rivals. Genocide means you are trying to get rid of this particular group of people. First of all, he's been doing it from the economic point of view, where you dispossess people of their land, you create conditions that are pushing people into poverty. Now you are beginning to literally and physically kill them. And they're doing this in the region that is opposing him the most. That's the central region of the country. So if Ugandans don't see this, they should know that Museveni is laying down a foundation for violence in this country as we go forward. Because the kids they are killing have parents, have relatives, have friends, and have people that love them. These are deaths that are not going to go down without being revenged. Now, this is what I want to raise. That President Museveni and his team should know that if we get a change in government, we are going to hold them accountable for the death of these kids. Because what they are doing is crime against humanity. They are killing Ugandans in broad daylight, in cold blood, just because they are not supporting the regime that has been in power for more than 3 decades. It's amazing for me that the police can afford to kill a 20-year-old kid to protect an 80-year-old man who has been in power for 3 decades. I mean, it amazes me.
All right, so sure. Jumba, thank you. Richard, isn't Jumba trying to intimidate Ugandan government that when you guys take power, the police officers and the other officials in the government are going to be probably arrested and of course, put into account. So what does that tell you?
First of all, let me send
That's accountability.
Yeah, let me first send my condolences to the boss family that lost their people. And I'm going to tell it on camera that we shall fight internationally, locally. We shall bring these people to book. We shall take care of the families as people power, their children, their wives, until they grow up, and we shall make sure that they have a great future. That's an official statement I'm following. The second thing is this, is that this is murder. They said the cameras were off. That's a lie. Enanga is lie. That's a war crime in the war, because this is not going to end just here. There's going to be an international war crime tribunal, because that's what they are pushing for in Ugandan law and international law. There's already a judgment of a young woman that is spending 20 years in jail for killing his husband on a gate using a car. That is murder. If they said that the cameras were off and the eyewitness account is totally different with the evidence on camera, then that's something else. More of this. We are not stupid. We are living in a world that has satellites everywhere. We shall get Google accounts of everything that will happen there. Sabiti will go to the courts of law. We are not joking this time. He will face it. Yes, this is no longer intimidation. He cannot kill our people. Sabita and his Kasinji, the National Political Commissar for the police, they cannot order the police to kill our innocent people. And they go to their houses and sleep with their wives and their children, and they enjoying the wealth of the country when other people are suffering. We shall bring them to book. They'll face the hunger man. I'm telling you, unless they can get out of this thing as soon as possible. There's no joking. We cannot continue killing our people like that. Call them cold blood murder. Then you lie on camera. Enanga, we are warning you openly on camera. What you are doing, you are going to be accountable for all this.
But you guys have evidence that police was responsible for the death of the child.
Everyone saw them. Everyone saw. Look at even the postmortem. Look at the postmortem. All these things they are doing for the postmortem is wrong. There must be a person who has died. The family must be able to take the person to any place of choice.
And maybe one of the things I must add on, talking about the death of Rita and Cheyune, one of the things we must understand, and I'm going to warn some of the people who are using their platforms completely in a wrong way, and they are robbing people exactly in the worst way. I had the statements by Pastor Bujingo. Yes. And my soul was crying. And I thought this man is full of scandals. Because I would say maybe Bujingo reasons like he's not, he said recently he got a degree from one of those church houses. I expect Bujingo to use common sense. Bujingo is one of the pastors who should not, if he's not going to stand, because he's one of the pastors in Uganda that has exploited poor people. Bujingo has no moral authority to start discussing politics if he's not going to be standing with the people. Let him keep quiet like the rest. Because if Bujingo, you stand on the platform and you tell Ugandans, oh, don't get involved in politics, you know, if you're gonna support from your shop.
He's protecting people.
Why aren't people praying from their shops? People spend a whole day at Bujingo's church. Ugandans waste 12 hours in a church. Do you know how much money and time Ugandans lose every Sunday by sitting in Bujingo's church, awaiting for miracles that never happen? Those churches are some of the places where you have the poorest Ugandans. They've brainwashed people. They've stolen from Ugandans. Any pastor who has been stealing from Uganda, because no pastor in Uganda has no moral authority to tell Ugandans what to do, especially when they are the #1 mafias in the country.
Let me stand in as a pastor for Pastor Bujingo's case. Pastor Bujingo's case needs followers every Sunday who are going to come and probably contribute to the church. So if you say that he lets them go and be killed, then who are the people he's going to be
What has been the contribution of Bujingo to the country? When people, let me speak. When people pay tithe, who enjoys the tithe? Bujingo and his and this woman is cohabiting with. Bujingo is enjoying the tithe single-handedly. Poor people are putting in their money. In fact, Bujingo would be standing with Ugandans who are suffering from now because he has exploited them. People pay their taxes. I'll give an example. The Canaan land, the land where the church stands right now, that money that has been contributed by the people. Is the church, is that land in the names of the followers who go to church, or it's in the names of Bujingo as an individual? So pastors in Uganda, they are the #1 top buffet we have in the country. They've stolen from Ugandans in exchange for false miracles and hopes that never happened. People have sold their properties. Ugandans have been sold false hope, given water, given all those kind of crazy things. Ugandans are wasting time. No Ugandan, you live abroad. How many people, how many churches have you found in America where people pray from morning to Sunday? People don't have that time. People are busy. In fact, churches here, the most they operate, even Pentecostal churches, the most they operate is strictly 1 hour, 30 minutes. People are out. And people go to their work. People are busy. People are looking for money. There are jobs to do. In Uganda, because there is scarcity of jobs, Ugandans have been made to sit 12 hours in church waiting for false miracles. And then when they are being oppressed, because what is disturbing me, Bujingo did not even talk about the police brutality. Because I'm very sure Rita left home not knowing she was going to die that day. Because if it was the case, she wouldn't have left home. No one wants to die. Rita didn't leave home knowing she was going to die. Cheyune did not stand on the roadside waving at Bobby Wine, thinking someone is going to shoot at him. He did not. He would have stayed home. Right, because all the people that have Rita and Cheyune that have been killed, they've not been killed because they've engaged the police. They've been killed innocently, maybe because they are wearing a red beret, or they've been killed innocently. So for a pastor who is one of the top buffets we have in a country, who is exploited followers, who has exploited people who go to church, who collects the tithe for his personal use, who has built houses, who has constructed a TV, a radio from people's tithes, where Ugandans don't benefit, Bujingo should keep quiet. Because I'm telling you, if such people don't desist from really speaking carelessly like that, they are going to have a problem. Because in the next coming government, because if a pastor can start speaking like that,
you're intimidating.
I'm not intimidating, but they're going to have a problem. Because I'm telling you, this is a time where everyone in a position where they speak to masses have to be extremely careful with what they say, when and how. Ugandans are indeed oppressed, especially now for Bujingo's case, for a pastor who is leading very poor people, and selling them false hope, and collecting money from them
and
with lies,
to stay home
and with lies. It should be. If Bujingo wanted to speak to the people, he would have spoken about the police brutality. He would have spoken about how the police is engaging and killing innocent people. They should be able to speak because I do not know if Bujingo is collecting most of the money from Ugandans who are poor and is protecting the government, then he's using people. Because I don't see any reason if Bujingo cannot speak on behalf of the people he leads in church, who are Ugandans. The people who keep going to Bujingo's church are extremely very poor.
All right, so I want to bring
in
John.
It should desist, and I'm telling you, when we say we get charged, and then we say things that are that are hurting, or we say things that are really, people say, oh, we are becoming so violent in the way we speak. We are not going to entertain the likes of Bujingo coming publicly to mock Ugandans.
All right, so Jumba, before you come in,
because if Bujingo really. If really that's the issue, people should pray from there. There is no reason why people, if he says people should support from their, from their homes and all that, why are people going to his church? Why Ugandans can't pray from their homes? God is everywhere. People should be praying from their houses. Why does he want people at Canaan land every day to collect money from them? God is everywhere. People should stop going to church as well.
All right, so I want to start with a quote of, I think, Jesus, when he said, give to... Richard, you can bring in, give it to what belongs to who, and then give the other to what belongs to the other. Yeah. Richard, you can bring in something. But before you come in, I want to read why we're talking about this story. Where the lady was going. She was going, according to Campfire report that they released last week, they said she was going to attend their long-awaited mobile money tax case at Uganda Road Court in the country's capital city. Then she died along the way. So she was going to engage in already taxes that are being taxed Ugandans, and people are still answering the case why they involved themselves into that struggle. So let me bring in Jumba. So what's the view? Is that from Sarah's point of view that pastors are not doing what is right, according to Sarah? But
not all pastors, but to start with Bujingo, let me first put it this way. First of all, I don't like him. Plainly, Bujingo is a con man. Bujingo conned his congregation, he conned his wife and his family. Bujingo has used the church for personal benefit. That is Bujingo. I know so many wonderful, great pastors who are doing a great work. But let me tell you this. The church has an obligation to stand in the gap for the poor, the marginalized, and the oppressed. That has been the history of the church. We've seen that many men of God, clergies and so on, have been involved in the civil rights movement, in the political liberation of so many people. Even the many revolutions that are taking place in the world, the church has been spearheading them.
But President Museveni told you that pastors and priests should stay out of
I'm
politics.
coming. Museveni, as a dictator, that is what he has to say. But there's no way you can separate the church away from the people that are suffering, because the outcome of Museveni's poor policies pushes the people, the very congregants of Bujingo, into poverty and into death. So when the consequences of Museveni's poor leadership pushes these people to the church for help, then Bujingo and his team and those who are like him take advantage of people's misery to sell hope. But they're selling false hope, because Bujingo himself doesn't fast and pray for his money. He begs it from his congregation. When Bujingo's kids are sick, he takes them to hospitals. He doesn't anoint oil on his head. I have a friend of mine who happens to be a pastor. One of his kids fell sick, and he had to take the kid abroad. At one point, I wanted to ask him, why don't you pray for this kid, and the miracle comes? But that was out of cynicism.
And just out of just a kind of a joke.
I'm a Christian. Let me put it this way. I'm a Christian. I believe in miracles, and I believe in a healing God.
But themselves, they don't believe in those miracles.
But this is what I know. That even as a Christian, I still believe in medicine. And I still believe that God can use hospitals and medicine to reach out to his people. Now, on the question of Bujingo and the statement he made, that's what we call victim blaming. We've seen it with Museveni. We've seen it when our sisters are raped. They always come up with, oh, she was putting on a short skirt. Oh, she was working at night. That victim blaming is always a weapon used by dictators and people like Bujingo and Museveni and his team. So that's where, to me, I'm praying and I'm asking Ugandans to continue to organize, to mobilize, and get a critical mass that can push these people out of power.
All right, Richard.
Okay, I wanted to say the following things about Bujingo. We are contesting for a leadership and a conflict that involves Kampala. I'm on camera, on record, because God willingly, I'll be in the next government and I'm in Uganda. Bujingo, we don't have a problem with Rwandans. I love Rwandans, women, a lot.
You're talking about tribalism.
No, this is not tribalism.
Your principle says...
No. Bujingo is an agent of the NRM government, because that's how he gets all this money from the NRM government. And I'm going to tell him, Bujingo, if you don't stop, we are telling you, we are coming. You lose that land, and we shall deport you out of the country. This is not a joking matter. Our people are dying. Enough is enough. And I'm going to tell him secondly, the reason why Museveni is paying the pastors and not telling them to engage in politics, because he knows that they have a voice. I'm going to give you an example of how a very powerful dictator fell. Romanian dictator Ceausescu. He fell because of one man, a man of God, in a small town that started speaking against a regime that was killing people. In 1 week, the man was out of power. They call him the king of communism, Ceausescu and his wife. He had a trial for 2 hours, and he and his wife were executed. It all began in a church, where the people came and they told him to stop. The pastor said no. Recently, I saw a man of God. I think you have seen it on Facebook and WhatsApp. A man now saying, now you have pushed us to the point of a revolution like what happened in France. Because if you people don't stop, That's why we are going. This is no longer a joke. You cannot wake up every morning and kill our people, innocent people. You have denied them the right to exist, right of jobs, the right of everything.
But let's look at it.
You push them out.
And I want to add on something small.
Sorry, before you bring in, let's add on what you're going to add. Daniel Chene is the son to a police officer. So doesn't that mean that police lost a very, very, very person?
Yeah, but did he know that was killing the fellow son of his?
And for the case of Dan Cheyune, and for some reason, as much as I was sorry, as much as I feel for the departed, I'm like, the hunt has been hunted. Because if the police are going to start randomly shooting at Ugandans, they are going to end up killing their very own. They are going to end up killing their own very families, relatives, sons, daughters, because one of the things the police are forgetting, they are as disgruntled. Because the police in Uganda, and I don't know where they get the moral authority to start brutalizing Ugandans. When Uganda police, they are paid less than $100 a month. They live in despicable, conditions. I happen to have a friend of mine who used to live in Guru Barracks. And I visited Naguru Barracks and I wrote about it and someone thought I was lying. My friend, her family, they used to live, and this girl, and one time when I visited, I told her, why don't you have a job, why don't you take your family out of there? They had an input, a big input. And her mother and father and there were about 5 in the family. They were sharing it with another family. I was in total shock. They were sharing it with another family. And you know what they used to separate between one family to another? A curtain. And I was glad also, I had Mohammed in Sereko spoke about it because they went and did a tour within the police, the police barracks. They live in despicable. How would you let a family, how would you let one family, 2 families, 3 families live in one input? How would you let that happen? Because just imagine one of the family has 4 kids and on the other side you put a guy who is single and you have girls who are already in adolescent stage. How do you control that? These policemen, I think they should be shooting at the people in government. Because as you're fighting so hard to guard Museveni, and he has led you, because you're so poor. That's their
job. He's a commander-in-chief.
He's the commander-in-chief who has left you in poverty, because the difference between the police officers who are brutalizing Ugandans and the Ugandans is the similarity. There is no difference. You're living, Ugandans are fighting for unemployment. You could be having a job earning $100, but your children are jobless. That's why Ugandans are fighting. When policemen get sick, they don't have medicine. And it's the same thing as Ugandans. Poor service delivery, it is the same thing. Ugandans are fighting for the same thing, but I do not know who is going to tell you. And I've heard radio, audio clips where the policemen are saying, they're telling people, oh, get charged, do something. You hold the guns.
They're asking you to get charged, you're doing nothing and you're blaming them.
The police are telling us to get charged, but they hold the guns. Just imagine if the police started the revolution. If the police in Uganda, because the only weapon that is keeping Museveni in power is the gun. Just imagine if the police started the revolution, refused to shoot anyone, and we joined them. Just imagine, because that's the only weapon Museveni has. And the other thing I'm going to say to Ugandans, one of the things you have to be careful, and for people who are back home, when someone is killed in such a manner, please guard their bodies not to be taken to the mortuary. Guard their bodies not to be taken to the mortuary. Every time you see someone, many Ugandans are going to be killed in such a manner, and the police is going to hurry take their bodies to the mortuary. This is what happened. They take out their organs. They take out their liver, they take out their kidneys, they take out every functional part, because every person is killed in such a manner, those organs are still functional. The heart could be, maybe it could have stopped, it could be functional, the brains, and one of the biggest trade right now are the kidneys. So, as much as we're not going to bury our people with some of their parts missing, because this is a big trade as well. We should have to be careful. People killed in such a manner, the moment they end up in these hospitals, kidneys are taken away.
All right, guys.
So we have to be vigilant, because if they want us to put on also another fight of also demanding for the parts they remove from our people when they are taken to the mortuary, we are going to. So be vigilant. At least you would have, rather, they've killed your person, but at least we are not going to bury them with no parts missing, and then we make them rich because they sell off these parts that are missing.
All right, so guys, but you know, let me first get back to our viewers. Now, there has been a story that has been going on from especially members of the People Movement, that they have the largest majority of getting President Museveni out of power come 2021. But this now stands in balance, because there is a simple reason. They were counting on the 1 million plus people who are getting or turning to 18 years this year, or even towards the end of the year, or just at the beginning of the year. Now, here's the problem. The government of Uganda clearly came out under its electoral commission and said, we don't have resources to make these people register for votes. Now, I'm going to bring this to these guys, and of course, you, our viewers, we know that you're going to be bringing in your suggestions or comments, and today I'm going to try as much as I can to get at least 5 or 10 out of them. But here's the point. You guys have been claiming you have the largest number of youth in the country, and you're also counting on these young kids who are turning 18 this year. And today, as we speak, Electoral Commission doesn't have money to make these people register. It doesn't have money to even engage them in any of just checking their names or stuff like that. So, Jumba, want to bring in that story. What does that tell you guys in the people power, and basically the people in the opposition who are counting on these numbers? This is a very huge number. 1 million young voters, first-time voters. They don't have the opportunity to vote in 2021. Jumba.
Okay, this is how I look at this. The Electoral Commission can get the money to do its job. Recently just passed a supplementary budget for the president's office and his state house. Whatever he does there, I don't know. So the money is there and the money can be got. But I know what they're trying to do is to push the timetable for the election so close that other opposing candidates and other opposing entities won't have enough time for a formidable campaign against Museveni and his team. But what I want to tell them is this. The elections themselves may or may not take place. But that is not going to stop Ugandans to push this government out of power.
Do you think President Museveni is scared of these new potential voters?
He definitely is scared. Museveni is an 80-year-old guy. He can edit his age and maybe call it 70, but he's an 80-year-old guy. So his time is in the past. The future of the youth in Uganda is not in the hands of Museveni. I cannot, even me at my age, I don't entrust my remaining 30 or 40 years in the hands of Museveni, because he cannot do anything better for me in the future. I know my future should be in the hands of people who have more at stake. So the number of youth that are supposed to be registered is a direct threat to the very existence of Museveni and his team in power. That's why they're trying to resort to violence. They're trying to resort to the methods they have used before. Methods of violence, intimidation, and killing Ugandans. But let me tell you this. Whether these kids are going to be registered or not, the journey for Ugandans to liberate their country started. It may be through an election. It may be through a revolution. But quote me on this. Museveni cannot continue to rule Uganda in the near future, because Ugandans are going to rally behind the powers of change. That's a fact.
It's going to be the president come 2021. Now, I want to bring in, before I bring in Sarah, I want to bring in Richard. Richard, Uganda has 77% people who are under 25 years. 1 million Ugandans are not going to vote. And you guys were counting so much on these new potential voters who are so eager to see a new government. What does it tell you?
Today is attack day, because now there's no turning back. I give an example, very good example. I don't know if it's Byamukama or whatever is now the head of Electoral Commission. Byamukama.
Yes.
So I want to talk to you, Mr. Byamukama, and give you this statement clearly on record that the Foreign Affairs Minister of Germany, von Ribbentrop, the name is like that.
Yeah.
He was the person who signed the agreement between Hitler, on behalf of Hitler, and Stalin, that sparked the Second World War, the division of Poland. And in his statement of defense in the War Crime Tribunal, he said he never fired a shot and never killed anyone. He said, but you're the one who signed the letters that sparked the war, that killed so many people. So if Byamukama or Byalhanga, you are the one doing these things, and that is going to cause genocide in Uganda by taking people out of the voting list because you don't want them to vote for people power. If this thing happen, you'll be the first person in the International War Tribunal, because this thing is not going to be a Uganda thing now. It's going to be an international tribunal. You'll be the first person to face the hangman, and you'll not cheat death there. So you have to know that what you are doing, you are going to be responsible. You do whatever you want. It's in your powers, but you know the outcome. The second thing I wanted to give a statement is this because I saw the NRM, because I saw Tumukunde joining the line of presidential aspirant in a country. It's not a problem, he's a Ugandan. But what is happening after I had this NRM people who came on the weekend, at the end of the weekend, who went to their headquarters and said, look, you people, we are not going to hand over power to you because we are not so sure what the way you are going to treat to us, the way you're going to treat us because of what happened after Idi Amin fell, after Milton Obote, his people were killed. And you're saying now you cannot give us power if we win an election. We are saying we are going to win an election. Now we are on the crossroad. If you people think that you're not going to hand over power and you're going to set terms for a draw in your favor, you are wrong. What we offer you is simple. We are telling you, please, it's time to negotiate now. The door is open. Let's find a solution to your dark corner and to our dark corner, because we don't want the country to move to that side. There are so many ways we can solve this problem. I'm going to give you an example of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Oslo. Honorable Chagwe has a lawyer, Amsterdam, you know him. Contact him. Let's start to talk. It's time we start to talk. Because you people, if you think that you're not going to give us power and you're going to set terms for a draw in your favor, no, we are not agreeing on that. We want to find a solution, and the solution is there. The first thing we are going to must agree with is an international supervised election. That's the first thing you have to agree with, because that's where the first, there's so many things. You agree on that, we are ready to talk. The UN, like Ivory Coast, on the conflict of Ivory Coast, what really happened was that let's get the United Nations to supervise and organize an election. And they are not one election, there are two elections, because we are also pushing for a referendum for the people of Uganda to determine their destiny. We don't want your political system. We don't want your economic system. We don't want your army, the way of you've been killing people. We don't want your police. We don't want your security. All these things have to be dismantled. So let's start talking now, before it's too late.
All right, Sarah, before you come in, Sarah, but let me ask you, do you think the government is just trying to silence these young kids or people who are, young adults who are coming to 18? Or is it just, again, like the question asked Richard and Jumba, is it just a way of blocking Bobby Wine into fulfilling his dream or the dream of the movement?
I think Museveni is too scared. What if the 1 million is blocking his supporters? You mean he doesn't need votes? What if he's stopping his supporters? You mean he doesn't mean votes? But I was today I've been checking some of the statistics that were released by Electoral Commission in November. That was 21st November 2019. The number of registered voters we had that Electoral Commission released, they were 16.4 something million voters. As we speak, by January 17th, 2020. There is an increment of, we're now to 17 million voters. But I want our viewers to remember, we've not been registering new voters. We've not registered any voters. So the increment of 1 million, the increment is 1.7 million. Where has it come from? We've not registered a new, as much as I remember, what we've been going through, the exercise has been people checking their names to see if they're on the voters register, are they the correct names, and people checking for Ndagamount, people getting Ndagamount. We've not done any exercise of registering new voters onto the voters list. But if you see, go back and get that information. And I want you Ugandans to be very careful and be vigilant about this. We have an increment by 17th January 2020. We have an increment of 1.7 million voters. and we are asking where are they coming from. Have they inserted ghost voters already in the list? That's why they don't want to put in, because you see, the problem is if you insert ghost voters already in a list that is about maybe 1.2 million, there is no way you can register new voters because it will not balance out. You will have more votes, you will have more votes casted than the number of people that are supposed to vote. So is that the excuse? Because I wonder even why they released that information, knowing very well there is an increment of over 1 million voters just in a space of November to January. Yet we haven't done any registration. I want everyone to be key, and I think Ashburg posted that clip from it was a press release by Electoral Commission, and you see the exact increment where they haven't registered any new voters. So the question we're asking, where have they come from? Are they scared that if they register new voters, then we are going to have a problem? You already have ghost voters already inserted into the register. So if you you register more new voters, real voters, you're going to have more votes casted than the actual number of people that were supposed to vote. So there's going to be a problem right there. And then the other thing we must understand, that's why Ugandans have to be more vigilant. The other thing is we are much more likely not to go into, because if you're 8 months, almost less than 8 months away from an election, but Electoral Commission doesn't have money for most of the basic things that are supposed to be done to hold an election, we are in big trouble. We are going in for a dilemma. I think Museveni is too scared, and they're putting up every tactic not to hold, not to hold campaign, the
elections for 2020.
Election in 2020. Because where did we get the 20 billion for the spraying of locusts? That money just came out of the blue. All we knew, all of a sudden, we woke up, 20 million had been dispatched. 20 billion had been dispatched for the locusts that have not gotten to Uganda. I'm waiting, I am looking around, I'm waiting for pictures. In fact, every time I call my family in Uganda to find out if they've seen the locusts disappeared after the 20 billion was dispatched. Where did we get the 20 billion for locusts that we cannot find money to handle something that is key, that is very important, like an election? Because an election changes a number of things. It changes an economy, it changes the country, it changes its service delivery, it changes so many things, because the only way countries or citizens are able to see new leadership is through an election. So you're taking away the only right Ugandans have to cause the change they want. You're taking it away. Because if we do not have money, like Electoral Commission is saying, and we have about 6 months left, we are likely not to have an election.
All right, so I want to go back to our viewers, and then Jumba, I'll come to you. Well, we should remember that before the 2016 elections, the government asked children who are in schools, or kids who are in schools, who are by then 16 years of age, to register so that they could vote in the 2016 election. Now, the big question that I want to pose to you who is watching right now is, what changed in between? Why is it that earlier, before 2016, the government was okay to register for those who were in 16 years, so that by the time elections take place, they're 18 or above, and today it's very impossible. Now, they do have a very strong valid statement that they don't have resources to cater for all these new voters. Secondly, which is, of course, we know that the government runs on borrowed money. Now, Juma, I want to come back to you before I get the answers from our viewers. What must have changed in between? 2016, we had 16, 17, you can register so that you can vote. By then, 2016, you'll be in position to vote. And today, as we speak, the government says, no, we don't have resources. What changed? Is it because Nyakaima died and things are not working out right today, or there is a difference somewhere?
There are a lot of things. It's a confluence of so many things. But one most important thing is the role of the social media. This is a new generation of social media activism that is reaching out to these young kids. Now, these kids, to tell you the truth, cannot vote NRM. That is out. These kids have the exposure of what is happening in other countries. These kids read. These kids have access to information instantly. And remember, 75% of Ugandans are below the age of 30. And most of these kids, these are demographics that are really tailored to a candidate like Robert Kyagulanyi. So the NRM as a party, they have think tanks. They do their own research, and they know. I have an insider who told me that they know they cannot win an election if it was put there today. That is from a very reliable source. He told me they did their own survey, whatever little survey they do, and they found out that they cannot win an election.
Even if it's put tomorrow.
So what they are trying to do is what we call voter suppression. Suppress the vote. Intimidate them, kill them, and don't register as many as you can, so that you can have a number through which you can manipulate and win an election. But like my sister said, the chances of having these elections today is only 50%. And given the invasion of the coronavirus and some other things that are foreseen, these are people that can wake up tonight and say, you know what, given the magnitude of the new problem, Uganda is not going to have an election. These guys can do that.
Because by the way, coronavirus is becoming a global
problem.
Soon it's going to be declared as a global, challenge. So
I wanted to go that way, and I think we'll be finishing up with that.
Yeah.
Uganda has already earmarked 25 billion Ugandan shillings to fight against the problem. Now, we should remember that the government put some money before to go and cater for those who are already in China. They stopped from coming back in the country. Now, Uganda is putting more money to save the economy. Now, I should be honest here with you guys. Like I said at the show, I told you, I'm a stock market investor, and just this week, because of coronavirus, we all made losses. I was reading the news, and top billionaires
it is serious.
making $30 billion
No,
losses.
it is serious. China as one of the countries that has been, tiptoeing America to become a superpower. This has greatly affected China's economy, that it's going to take them a while to do a comeback. Because it talk about people who people who do business, even in Uganda, businessmen are no longer traveling to China, all over the world. Because China, there is a lot of companies that are producing from China that are American companies. They are no longer traveling there because you don't want to lose your life. America itself, there is, I think, the Corona beer, I don't know if it comes in from Mexico or done in America here. I was reading it has registered, it is almost going to $500 million US. It only carries the word Corona. It's a Corona beer here in America, but people are no longer drinking it.
Right.
Because people already emotionally, they've wired to think when you drink Corona. And one of the things, following up what is happening here in America, we've run, some of these stores, CVS and all that, we've run out of masks. And either I buy them online, and people who are having them online, because that's the hottest business right now. In fact, if you had ordered and stocked masks, maybe 2-3, maybe by November, December, you would be making money, because all these stores are running out of masks. Sanitizers, I was reading yesterday, I was watching NBC, sanitizers are running out. Thank God I carry one, but I need to get one, and store away. But what I'm going to say is that if you see first world countries who have the capacity to quarantine, that have the capacity to treat, because already here in Boston, there is I think it's one of the places, either Winchester or something, they've come up with a virus, but they've come up with a cure for the virus, but they're still testing it. And I was hearing some of the doctors here say it is going to take maybe another, if it's going to be the trials it has to go through, by the time it has to be, it takes about 6 months for it to be now put out on the market that this is really, that is going to fight the virus. But countries like Uganda, if you go through Entebbe airport, nothing has been done ever since the outbreak.
They've started buying machines to solve the problem. You don't have any case in Uganda of coronavirus. They're just doing
because they don't know.
Because they do not know. I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah, sure.
We are just lucky. And I'm telling you, because I think God is looking at Ugandans with all the problems they are going through, with all the misery. People are going without a meal. People are jobless. And God is still protecting Uganda over the corona disease. I am telling you, just one individual, because there are no checkpoints at Entebbe airport. There are no checkpoints to check people knowing exactly where you're coming from. Because by this point in time, and I wish if corona disease really, really wanted to save Ugandans, it should start with Museveni. They would have helped us a great deal.
That's murder.
No, it's not murder. I'm just saying. Okay. It should start with him. Maybe he has the medicine. Maybe he has the cure. Museveni has all the money in the world to take himself for treatment. More than the 40 5 billion Ugandans who don't have because they've not done much to provide the services or even educating. Right now we should be having, campaigns going on in the country, sensitizing campaigns going on to tell people that you should wash your hands. Because sometimes when I call home, that's when I tell them, my mom, make sure you wash your hands maybe every 30 minutes, wash your hands with soap.
All right, so
because you see what is happening.
No,
let me finish up.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. What is happening? As much as I can afford a sanitizer, as much as I can afford a mask, Ugandans, we are talking of Ugandans who do not know even what a sanitizer is, who do not know even what a mask is. So the message that would have been going on just immediately after the outbreak of corona disease virus would be, people wash your hands. This should be going out in all villages. The pastors, the likes of Bujingo, they should be talking to their masses about the corona disease. They should be teaching them about the preventative of corona disease. Because just imagine, a pastor like him who wakes up and makes noise instead of educating his masses. Just imagine corona disease sweeps through Canaan land. How many people will be having this? And I'm telling you, let me finish up. And churches have to be very careful. And Ugandans, you have to be very careful. You should stop going to these churches. Because just imagine one individual comes with corona to a church where you're going to spend 12 hours. 12 hours is enough to sweep through the whole church. Right. You pray from home. Just as these pastors are not willing to speak about the heals of Ugandans, pray from home. There is no reason why you're going to Jingo's church. You contact corona disease from there. And yet it's not going to even help you find the cure. Uganda has not done completely enough in sensitizing Ugandans. Because for a country that doesn't have capacity, the country that doesn't have money to control such a big virus, sensitization would be key. Teach people the preventative means of corona disease.
$25 billion.
But they've not, because you see, one of the avenues of people coming into the country with the corona disease are the airports. And if we've not done anything at our airports to control or to check where you're coming from, countries that have been listed having people with corona disease, Italy and all that, and even US, people should be checked. You're coming in from US at the airport. You should be checked to see if you have any signs of corona disease. Or people who come in with it, because just imagine, China, people come in a lot from China for business. I'm sure they're just entering the country.
I don't bring you this as a joke. When Sematimba told you he cleans his face 8 times, you guys
he's right. Let him continue cleaning his face.
Sematimba. Okay, but on a serious note, let's put out these numbers. Right. The United States of America, the stock market has lost $3.5 trillion in the last 10 to 12 days.
Right.
So that means so many people are going to be affected, their retirement accounts and so on and so on. Globally, it's up to $6 trillion that has been wiped out from people's wealth. That is coronavirus. Now, when it comes to Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, just today, he advised Ugandans to wash their hands. That is the best he could do. But if a country like the United States can appoint its vice president to be the head of this great task of fighting the coronavirus in a country like the United States, rich and strong as it is, a country where Uganda should have even done more. Museveni should have already selected a panel of great people, health workers, to start to handle and plan for the country. Today, Uganda would have come out with a plan on how we are going to tackle coronavirus going forward, given the fact that we haven't registered any case in Uganda as of now.
But Nigeria has registered.
Nigeria has registered. Egypt has registered.
Which are not far away from us.
So it means it's not a question of if, but when.
When?
The virus will be in Uganda. But is the country ready? With this kind of incompetent men in power, it really scares me because our families are home. So it really scares me. But I pray for my country. Just like my sister said, let people at the individual level take initiatives to protect themselves.
All right.
And that money you're talking about, the money, let's pray that the money that has been put aside for corona disease, let's pray that these thieves do not steal that money for personal use. Because I'm telling you, they have no mercy. They have no mercy. Don't be surprised when tomorrow you hear money that has been put aside for corona disease, coronavirus, has been stolen.
Okay. All right, Richard, shouldn't Ugandans be happy now that the government is taking all the steps it can to make sure that this very global, serious problem that has affected many people worldwide, now the government is putting up 25 Ugandan billion shillings to to fight against the problem. Preventative. Isn't that a good move by the government?
I think this time it's not going to cause a revolution. You people, this is not like a joking time now. I was reading President Museveni. He himself today said, oh, we are going to, the markets are going to suffer. A country like Israel that never went to war, like Uganda has gone to war from 1948 to this day, they first cure the vaccine in Israel. Because the country like America, the reason why they are great countries, they put money into research. And what people power is going to focus on, not only transformation of the health care system in the country, but put people that can do research on every disease. We have so many diseases that need research. That's what people power is going to focus on. Our health is going to be a priority because we want to live longer. Life expectancy in Uganda is 56 years. If you are very lucky, they call you Muzei at 56. Here,
100 years. People are living 99.
Here, 90. Someone still driving a car going to work or going to buy things from his supermarket. Where was Museveni to see all this? They're always looking for how can we make money out of this, because the World Health Organization is going to release money and give it to them. And they are going to make money out of this thing. What about if it happens? I saw what happened. God forbid. You know what happened? The aircraft they hired to spray the locusts is sitting in Karamoja on a tarmac because the medicine are not enough. Because the first medicine they got from Japan, a liter, they said a liter is costing $75. I asked myself, I called the phone on the company in America, that very liter cost $16.5 US. I called it because I wanted to prove the mathematics. In between, they are making almost $60 on a liter. And here in America, it's in great plenty where they can come and save the country from going to a famine. What are they going to do with this coronavirus? I hope it doesn't come out with a revolution that will kick them out of power. Yes, okay. Yes.
So let's pray that money is not stolen, because it's most likely, before even any measures are taken, the money that has been put aside for corona disease is going to be stolen by a few.
So guys, I want to just take you a little bit into Tumukunde's case, and then then we'll be out of here. First, outside Jumba. Now, the government is taking away, the UPDF forces are taking away all the guards from the general. One, the general is entitled to having these guards, him being a general. But why is it that now they're taking all these guards away from him? Where is his security standing right now?
Let me tell you this, and I'll delve into Uganda a little bit. Tumukunde Musiru. He's a fool, because he should have used history to know the person he deals with. He should have looked at people like Tinyefunza. We call him Sejusa. He should have looked at men who have served Museveni before. And how they end up. You fall out with him, you're ostracized, you're pushed out, and you're humiliated. I remember the late Eya Kategaya. When he tried to join Reform Agenda, he was pushed out of the cabinet with Maria Matembe and so on. Kategaya almost went to the brink of losing his car because he could not afford gas in the car, until Museveni calls him back, gives him a position, and he ends up dying sometime later. So that has been the pattern of Museveni. And Tumukunde, he has been on Katebe so many years, having been accused of ghost soldiers and the money that was lost. You remember those cases. Right. He went on the Katebe. Any person who is sane, he should have retired. And even if he was called, he should have said no.
But he did it because he fought against General Kayihura and...
But let me tell you this.
Yeah, for the government.
Because they are not learning out of history. And I'm not surprised. And by the way, let him suffer.
By the way, to Ugandans and people viewing us, the Tumukunde issue is a diversionary issue. Tumukunde is a brother to Janet Museveni. So don't even allow to be fooled. It's a diversionary issue. If UPDF are taken away from Tumukunde, let him, Ugandans don't have security, let him die. If he's going to be shot like any other normal Ugandans who are shot, let him die. We've lost Rita, we've lost Cheyune. There won't be any news that Tumukunde died.
Tumukunde is a non-entity, by the way.
Tumukunde is an entity. If we lost Chirumira, who is Tumukunde? We lost Kawesi, we lost Rita. who was fighting for change? Who is Tumukunde, who has been part of the people exploiting and, you know, and Ugandans for a long time? So taking away the UPDF from Tumukunde should not even be making news. It should be treated like any other normal Ugandan. If tomorrow his mafias wake up and shoot him, let him die. There is no news about that. But Tumukunde is a diversionary issue. I am telling you, those people cannot harm their own. Tumukunde is a brother to Janet Museveni. Tumukunde, remember, at one point in time was going to run for mayor of Kampala.
We made
so right now,
news and how the move
right now, they are creating a decoy, a diversionary person, for Ugandans for a minute or second to start paying their focus on Tumukunde. Museveni is not going to do anything to Tumukunde. Tumukunde is family. If Museveni was going to punish Tumukunde, when Tumukunde stole money for the ghost soldiers, he would have been taken to Luzira. Tumukunde has done so many scandals and nothing has been done. This is a brother. Is Museveni going to touch his muko? First of all, partly the government is run by Janet Museveni. That woman is not a joking subject. She's you've been always fighting against it. Now you also what I'm telling you, Museveni
woman.
Is not going to touch Tumukunde being a brother to Janet Museveni. Forget about it. Don't think about it. Right. This issue of UPDF taken away from him, I'm even happy they've been taken away. Let him live like any ordinary Ugandan. If he's shot, let him be shot. If he dies, let him die. So Ugandans should not even pay focus. People who are fighting for change, people power advocates, my last word to them, don't even pay any minute discussing Tumukunde. He's irrelevant, he's nothing, he should not even divert us from what we are doing right now.
All right, so
he's not a threat to Chagulanyi, he's not a threat to, you know, our problem. By the way, the only biggest problem Uganda has is Museveni. These are just the diversionary guys who are just want the 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Tumukunde has been so irrelevant. I even thought he has
died.
I thought he was dead or no longer in the So if he dies today,
I'm going to take care of myself.
If his soldiers are taken away and is killed, let him die. If he dies, he dies.
I see it in a different way. First of all, Tumukunde has the right to contest because he's a Ugandan. That's right. The second thing, Tumukunde has been in security. He knows everything, even the health of President Museveni.
So you need him in opposition?
No. I want you to hear this. When I heard the statement that was coming from Bantariza, I don't know if you people call him Bantariza, the one who said last time that I have 3 guns that I'm going to fight people power. Now he's saying, you people, we are not going to give you power because we are not so sure the way you are going to treat us after you capture power. That means they have agreed, people have power has defeated them. Now what is happening? Now Tumukunde knows that what the NRM regime is trying to do to save its people from looting the country, from killing the people, is to push for a draw, a political draw in their favor. And if he contests for the presidency of a country, he must be included in the transition to survive because he has so much land that he stole. All these things are going to be recovered. For me, I see it in a totally different way, that we have to be very careful that we people power are going to balance this, and we are going to make sure that if anything happens, anything that has to happen has to be in our favor, on our terms, because we are not going to go by their terms. We are going to change the whole country, as Chagwen leading us, into a promised land. We are not going to go by the old political system, economic system, and we shall recover everything they have taken. The only way out is how do we save them from the hunger man, and how do we save them from the little that they have stolen? Because we are going to, if they come out in open and say, look, we are not going to contest and refuse Honorable Chagwen to take over office the way he wants to take it over through an election, then we shall spare them. Say, okay, we leave you this house, we leave you this small property, go to your house anywhere you came from and stay peaceful until you die. But if they say, we are going to do it our own way, then what comes out from that, they'll go out empty-handed.
Let me add on something small before we close up. Ugandans and people viewing us, the only person I want you to put your energy, time and focus on as we are fighting and driving our way to change is Honorable Chagulanyi. The rest are time wasters. I love Dr. Besigye, but 20 years is enough. He's not going to become a political dictator, an opposition dictator. The likes of Mukunde, those are planted by Museveni. The rest are going to come up. Those are planted by Museveni to waste people's time and to divide the opposition. Tumukunde will never be opposition. Don't be deceived. Tumukunde will always serve the president because he's the sister to the wife of the president. That Uganda should not forget. So we should not even divert ourselves and start discussing or waste time or Tumukunde is coming up. Tumukunde is going to run. If he's going to run, he's going to run on the taxpayers' money. Just to divide the vote a little bit and put an army person in form of a general, just to distract you and say, oh, I have power, I can take down Museveni. Now he's going to come up and start making himself look like opposition. He will never be opposition. We don't want such people. In fact, we are tired of anyone who has ever been in the 1986 war. Because the problem we've gotten with such people is they make us feel like we sent them to war, and they make us feel like they own Uganda, as if we have to just buy it away from them to get it back. We never sent Museveni to war and the likes of Tumukunde. We don't owe them anything. They went to war, they've stolen. In fact, they've recovered everything. If they went to war, because if you say the price of me going to war was ABC and they've gotten everything. It's time for them. We don't want anyone with a military background. We want Uganda to be given back to civilians. People who are going to be accountable and not start telling us how they went to war, as if we pushed them to go to war.
Sure. I want to thank you guys. I'm not going to give you any chance to say goodbye to our viewers, but I want to thank you so much. Now, to our viewers, I really thank you so much for always watching our program and sharing all our programs as Campfire Television and giving us your comments. We have already improved whenever you tell us improve here, there, and there. So we thank you so much. Now, here's my closing take today. A lot of times I've been attacking the opposition and I've been attacking other people. Now, today I'm going to talk about the police and the government. Now, I don't think, personally, that the government or the Ugandan police should take the Ugandan people for granted or think that Ugandan people, quote, are stupid. That's not right. When you say that every time there is a crime and in such an area there are cameras, and at such a moment you say, the cameras were off, the cameras had these issues, maybe our police officers were not there, that is taking Ugandans for granted. The responsibility of police is to protect people and their property. If you lie to them every single day and you come up with different stories, yes, we can give a benefit of doubt. For example, for the case of this young girl who was killed, that maybe, yes, she was overrun by maybe 2 motorbikes or stuff like that, we can give a benefit of doubt. But giving an excuse that the police cameras that have just been launched, not even 5 years back, but just 1 or 2 years back, that they were not working, that is taking Ugandans for granted. And police should think twice before lying to the Ugandan people. Have a great evening and a great week. See you next Saturday. Thank you always for watching Ugandan Crisis. Guys, I want to thank you for coming and joining me and discussing. It was really nice and hope to see you again all next Saturday. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much.
Abanyabo ne basiba abatuuliriza kino kintu emikulu egikoza amawulire gaffe ag'olunaku olw'olwaleero gye mwongeredde ng'omwami Kyagulanyi Ssentamu gwe mumanyi obulungi nga Bobi Wine ng'awangudde akalulu.
Kuba kafaananyi ki bakitanga Bobi awangudde ababadde bakaba nga tuli masanyu n'okujaguza. Kuba kafaananyi ki Kyagulanyi ng'alayizibwa mu kisaawe ekkolo n'omulanda wa Kabaka awanise omukono alayira. Kuba kafaananyi ki bakitanga Bobi ofuga taseti house etudde kamotayi gwadumira. Kuba kafaananyi ki bakitanga jjajja tusiibula timutima mulungi balekedde Bobi abavubuka mwefuge. Amazima walayi kigenda bakitanga Uganda etugondera kandi woba mugeto obeera ngali museze munayira. Kana akaseera tetumala biseera tuteeke mu ntebe omubanda atuzimbira Uganda teredde ntendengewo kitiibwa omutanda. Kuno kulonda kuna muchezo tukanudda masa makambwe zimusanza ategese okubba akalulu ajayita nnyina muzala. Kuno kulonda ba people power tukanudda masa makambwe tumulinza ategese okubba akalulu ajala baddala ekituvaamu. Kana akaseera tetumala biseera tuteeke mu maboksi munseze bunaira mubasajja bakamba batuka basanyanga kota do tutulugunya n'abamu ebiyumba babiddukamu baddukira kwembase tezibayambye n'oluusi bafiiriddeyo n'emirambo tegiziddwa kuba kafaananyi ki bakitanga bobya wangudde ababadde bakaba nga tuli masanyu n'okujaguza kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitakyagulani ng'alayiziba mukisaawe ekkololo mulonda wa kabaka awanise omukono alayira kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitanga bobya ofuga gaseti hawuse tudde kamutayi gwadumira kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitanga jjajja tusiibula kimutima mulungi balekedde bobya abavubuka mwefuge Abannayuganda tufuusa bagwira mu nsi eyaffe abanansi omuntu wa wansi talina kakeeya babbi b'ettaka kye batukoze bakozesa maanyi tebawabirwa mwana Adamu akoze atya Matilda Powers kijja kuggwa Pipapa Management kana akaseera tetumala biseera tuteeke mu ntebe omubanda atuzimbira Uganda teredde ntende ng'ewe kitiibwa omutanda kafaananyi kiri bakitanga bobya afuga nga Uganda ekyusa eriri basanyu nakweyagala kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitakyagulani ng'alayiziba mukisaawe ekkololo mulonda wa kabaka awanise omukono alayira kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitanga bobya ofuga gaseti hawuse tudde kamutayi gwadumira kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitanga jjajja tusiibula kimutima mulungi balekedde bobya abavubuka mwefuge
musibye mutyo banyabo ne basiba abatuuliriza kino ky'emitwe emikulu egikoze amawulire gaffe ag'olunaku olw'olwaleero gye mwongeredde ng'omwami Kyagulanyi Ssentamu gwe mumanyi obulungi nga Bobi Wine ng'awangudde akalulu
kafaananyi kiri bakitanga bobya wangule abadde bakaba nga tuli masanyu n'okujaguza kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitakyagulani ng'alayiziba mukisaawe ekkololo mulonda wa kabaka awanise omukono alayira kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitanga bobya ofuga gaseti hawuse tudde kamutayi gwadumira kuba kafaananyi kiri bakitanga jjajja tusiibula kimutima mulungi balekedde bobya abavubuka mwefuge amazima walayi kigenda bakitanga Uganda etugondera nga ne woba mugeto obeera ngali mu nseze bunayira kana akaseera tetumala biseera tuteeke mu ntebe omubanda atuzimbira Uganda teredde ntende ng'ewe kitiibwa omutanda kuno kulonda kuna muchezo tukanudde amasa amakambwe zimusanze ategese okubba akalulu ajayita nnyina muzaala kuno kulonda aba people power tukanudde amasa amakambwe tumulinze ategese okubba akalulu ajalaba ddala ekituvaamu kana akaseera tetumala biseera tuteeke mu ntebe omubanda atuzimbira Uganda teredde ntende ng'ewe kitiibwa omutanda kuba akafaananyi kiri bakitanga bobya afuga nga Uganda ekyusa eriri basanyu nakweyagala kuba akafaananyi kiri bakitakyagulani ng'alayiziba mukisaawe ekkololo mulonda wa kabaka awanise omukono alayira kuba akafaananyi kiri bakitanga bobya ofuga gaseti hawuse tudde kamutayi gwadumira kuba akafaananyi kiri bakitanga jjajja tusiibula kimutima mulungi balekedde bobya abavubuka mwefuge wana abavubuka emirimu gyabula okufuna olukumi olafubana egiriwo gy'amwana wanigo omunako otagalirawa kati ffe abawala tukomba maboksi mu nseze bunayira mu basajja bakamba batuka basanyanga kota taddo tutulugunya n'abamu ebiyumba babiddukamu baddukira kwembase tezibayambye n'oluusi bafiiriddeyo n'emirambo tegiziddwa kafaananyi kiriba kitanga Bobi awangudde ababadde bakaaba nga tuli masanyu n'okujaguza kuba kafaananyi kiriba Kyagulanyi ng'alayiziba mu kisaawe ekkololo mulonda wa Kabaka awanise omukono alayira kuba kafaananyi kiriba kitanga Bobi ofuga Gaseti House etudde Kamotayi gwadumira kuba kafaananyi kiriba kitanga Jjajja tusiibula kimutima mulungi balekedde Bobi abavubuka mwefuge Abanayuganda tufuuse abagwira mu nsi eyaffe abanansi omuntu wawansi talina kakeeya ababbi b'ettaka kye batukoze bakozesa maanyi tebawabirwa mwanadamu akoze atya Matilda Powers kijja kuggwa People Power Management kana akaseera tetumala